Hello and welcome to Computer Tech and More. Today I want to talk about why I chose the Odyssey Neo G8 over other options. And it really comes down to feature set. So when looking at current monitors available, I didn't really like anything that was in the 27-inch range. And a lot of reason for that was the HDR level. So they're calling this Quantum HDR 2000 on the Odyssey Neo G8. But realistically, it's more like 1400 nits of brightness, and in the 27-inch range I only ever saw 600 nits of brightness, and I'm discounting the ultra wide, the Alienware that's quantum dot. I'll talk about that in a second. So for standard displays, I didn't really see anything over 600, which is good, but for me, I'm looking at a major upgrade for 5 years down, while a 600 nit brightness for me personally would be more like a small upgrade over my standard IPS display. So then I really wanted 4K display, and there really weren't a lot of options for 27-inch 4K, and 32 inches I didn't want 1440p. And I knew I wanted quantum dot or mini LED. Micro LED is basically irrelevant, it's way too expensive. So when looking at mini LED, you have the Odyssey Neo G8, which is at a reduced price currently at $1,299. You have the G7, which is the same price. So they're basically the same monitor, just one is 165 hertz, one has the G8 has a maximum of 240 hertz. Then you have the Asus ROG Swift, the PG32UQX at a staggering $3,000. You have, this one's not micro LED, but in the same sort of ballpark. So 27-inch Nano Ips, the 27 GP950-B, the 32 GQ, sorry, 950-B, and that's another 32-inch Nano IPS 4K display from LG. And last but not least is the ViewSonic Elite XG321UG. And for me, and again, this is a buy used price. Its normal retail price is again at like a $3,000 mark, similar to, where was it? The Asus. So these two are basically in-game, quote, perfect for today's technology, what's out right now. They're IPS, so they should have a faster pixel response time than the Samsungs, which are VA. VA type displays are known for their better contrast ratio, but because they're both, well, all these are mini LED, meaning the ViewSonics and the Asus and the Samsung are mini LED. The better contrast ratio in the Samsungs is somewhat negated because it can just adjust the backlight brightness, while the IPS displays get you the richer colors. But again, the richer colors are kind of offset with the Samsungs by the quantum dot layer that they've applied to it. So really, for a price perspective, the Samsung Odyssey Neos, the G7 and G8, are basically what to get in this category. But if you don't want mini LED and you want faster pixel response times, then you're looking at the LG Nano IPS. And this one was a real contender for what I was looking at, but it doesn't have local dimming. It is HDR 1000, but without local dimming, I see it as a disadvantage, and this price is just too high for what you're getting. So that again led me back to the Samsung. And for a casual gamer that plays sightseeing games and not too many first-person shooters, you play RTS, that kind of thing, then this is basically the best monitor on the market for the price. If you're a content creator doing lots of artwork and that kind of thing on your display, you might be able to justify buying this ViewSonic and getting the better color accuracy that comes with the IPS display, or if you don't mind taking the risk of buying used. But to continue talking about the different display technologies, it's what is your current monitor? What are you jumping from? So if you're going from a 1080p class display without HDR or anything like that, then basically anything is going to be better than what you have. If you're coming from a 1440p, becomes a little bit harder. If you're coming from a TN, VA, or a different IPS screen, it's all about what kind of display you want. So next I want to talk about what new displays are coming up and my thoughts about kind of technology. So in AOC, upcoming mini LEDs, which is what I think is really the perfect technology right now, because there aren't very many options for QD, OLED, the quantum dot technology. And currently I'm staying away from quantum dot in my thoughts, because there's some reports out there of artifacting or not smooth edges on like pictures and lines on things, and it's because of the pixel layout. But that can be addressed within software, how everything is displayed on the screen. And really I wanted a 4K or just a standard 1440p, not an ultra wide. So that's why I am choosing not to do QD OLED currently. So mainly mini LED is kind of the 2 tiers away from that technology, and so it's kind of the best of both worlds right now. And when looking at the different displays, you're going to want local dimming zones and or full array backlighting local dimming, FALD, FALD. And the more zones you have, the less blooming around a bright object on a dark screen you're going to have. I'll have another video up where I will try to show blooming artifacts on a couple displays that I have, including the Odyssey Neo G8. So the more zones you have, the more accurate it will be, the less blooming you get, the closer it is to essentially an OLED or QLED type monitor. So I personally wouldn't look at anything under 500 on a 27-inch display. And as you increase the monitor size, I would be looking at having more zones. But over 1,000 is really basically as good as it's going to get, and it's darn near perfect. You want HDMI 2.1 and as current display port version as you can get. So most, I think the 2.0 isn't out yet, so 1.4 with display screen compression. So to talk about a lower zone monitor, this one has 567 zones at a 32-inch, and that's still very acceptable amount of zones. So last and certainly not least, what panel technology should you buy? Well, it depends on what you want to do with gaming. If you're an esports professional, you're probably not watching my videos, but you probably are using a TN panel with very fast response times. So like this 24-inch at 480 hertz. That's insanely fast. If you're more of a looking to go pro but want a versatile monitor, you're probably getting a standard type IPS display. I would recommend getting one that's got HDR built into it, but without local dimming. Your HDR and backlighting are going to be greatly limited. If you're very casual but still want something that's fast enough for semi-competitive gaming, you're going to want a mini LED type display with HDR and as fast a response time as you can get. And just look around for what's within your budget. So I tend to use a monitor for at least 5 years before I even think about upgrading, so it becomes a little bit easier to justify a larger expense. I've owned, let me see, this is my 4th dedicated monitor. I started with a TN Samsung 245 BW. It was $500, 1080p class display, way back in 2006. Then in 2012, I upgraded to an IPS display, and it was a Dell U2412M. And then I went with a gaming dedicated display, the Asus MG279Q, because I wanted a more dedicated gaming display, and finally IPS was making it to gaming monitors. And of course HDR has been out for long enough, and I've been really looking at HDR displays for quite some time, and finally the Odyssey Neo G8 checked off enough of the boxes that I decided to go with this one. But if you're looking at between the Neo G7 and G8, I get whichever one is the better price. So since they're the same price, might as well get the 240 Hertz. That is just my opinion. You make your own decisions. Anyways, this was just an quick overview of what monitors are out and which ones I think are kind of worth it at a price. And I wouldn't consider spending more than like $1,300 if it doesn't have mini LEDs and local backlighting. That is just my opinion. At this price, it should have mini LEDs and local backlighting. Anything less than that, it should be under $1,000 and have G-Sync built in. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a great day.